What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Tattoo Talk. So today, I have a very special guest, not only my tattoo artist, but a great friend of mine. And today's topic is entrepreneurship. So I figured, who better to bring in than Junk Lainez? Junk, what's going on, my man?
I'm chilling, man. Happy to be here.
Awesome, bro. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
So we're going to start off. Obviously, we're going to go into the entrepreneurship, but I want you to give everybody a little bit of your background, how you started. I know, obviously, you started as a graffiti artist, so just give a little bit of the people a little bit of insight on how you got started in this whole art world.
Well, it's weird. I didn't really start off as a graffiti writer. I was really heavy into like the hip hop world when I was a kid. So I started out breakdancing. I was a b-boy, and that's how I got introduced to graffiti. And I started drawing a lot. Like that kind of consumed me a lot, but that culture consumed me a lot. But for the most part, I was always drawing. I've always told people that I've been drawing since the first box of crayons.
Nice.
So my mom always kept around a lot of like coloring books and stuff, like little kid stuff. So
is there other artists in your family or no?
Actually, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that
my mother, she draws a little bit, but she never really took it serious. She would just sit down and draw with me. Nice. My father, he's an architect, so he has a pretty hefty artistic background as well. My stepbrothers as well, they're all engineers and architects and stuff. I'm the black sheep
or the colorful sheep. Let's say.
Yeah, I'm the one that just I'm the weird one. I'm the one that doesn't dress corporate and all that.
Nice.
But yeah, I got influenced heavy by that culture, and I remember I used to skip school and go like to downtown, like on the metro, and I would just see all this graffiti and all these pieces everywhere. And one of the things I used to do was I used to actually take the bus, go to these walls. I didn't know anything about graffiti, and I would just sit down and actually take my sketchbook and I would copy the pieces. I didn't even know what they said, to be honest with you. Later on, it just so happens that I end up meeting all the guys that I used to look up to.
That's pretty amazing, man.
Pretty cool. And then, that like influenced, a deep passion for, art. I ended up going to college for graphic design. And I quickly realized that was not for me. I did graphic design for a little bit. I was sitting down and I was actually working in design before I even graduated. And I was just sitting there in an office designing business cards, and that shit was not for me. It was not. So I had a couple people, friend of mine, tell me that I'd be a great tattoo artist, and I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. But like growing up where I grew up, the influence of tattoos that you had it was nothing artistic. There was nothing behind it. It was literally just like
tattoos were frowned upon back in.
Yeah, but like imagine like in the hood, what happened? You grew up in the hood, and all you saw were like crappy script names and little Tweety birds.
Yeah.
Like
I remember wrapping a string around a needle and using Indian ink to get a little tattoo. It's crazy.
Oddly enough, I never did that. I don't know. I never. But again, I was that one friend that would tell all of my older friends, "You guys are idiots. You guys are gonna hate all those tattoos in the future. Why would you?" And then I head down in tattoos. Look at me now. Like that's crazy.
And we hate some of them, but I love.
I have a thing for bad tattoos. I like them. I like my bad tattoos. I look at them and I'm like, man, that was fun. It was a good time.
Nice, man. So Ben, that's awesome, because actually we seen recently that where your art and your graffiti has taken you. I saw you post a video that you actually did a whole entire wall at Westland Mall.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was amazing. I don't know if you want to expand a little bit about that.
Yeah,
you
man.
actually had a little bit of an exhibit there too.
Yeah, that was a special thing. This past September, it was really cool because 2 years ago they reached out to me to do that wall. If anybody's familiar with Westland Mall, the wall on the far side of the building where Fuddruckers is, there's a hallway there, long hallway, and they wanted me to repaint it because they had an old mural there that was done by, I believe it was like an elementary school. It wasn't the most appealing thing, but it'd been there for over 10 years, or I think probably 15 years, something like that. But they reached out to me as a community leader and community artist to go and do it. I was honored because I grew up there. You know what I mean? So it was like a special thing for me to do.
That's what I'm talking about, because I mean, that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Where you're from, so.
Yeah, I probably saw you at the Funorama over there playing Street Fighter, Cruising USA. But I got the okay to do it actually 2 years later because due to funding, they couldn't, pay for all the supplies and all that. But they ended up funding the whole project, and we did it on the house for the community.
Nice.
So I got me and three of my buddies from my crew with a little bit of help from the guys at the shop. We went and we knocked it out in 2 nights.
Wow.
Working from like the moment the mall closed, I want to say it was around 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, we'll go set up, and we worked till about 4 or 5 in the morning the next day.
I mean, guys, if anybody knows Westland Mall out there, it's a big wall.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty
no
big.
easy task.
So yeah, we knocked it out in about 2 nights, and they had an unveiling on my birthday. Actually, it was September 28th, and they gave me my own gallery space for the time being, and it was great. We had a big show with featuring the artwork of some of the artists that painted the wall, and as well as some of the guys from the shop. So
awesome, man. So the next question is, okay, so then how was that transition from graffiti to now becoming a tattoo artist?
There was no transition. I've done both, throughout my entire career. I don't think I'm ever gonna stop really doing graffiti. It's my first love. It's really what I carry spray paint, my skateboard with me all the time in my trunk. That doesn't change. It doesn't. But with tattooing, I got a little interested in it, and I met one of the people that I consider a mentor to me, which is Raymond Grillo, and he's an amazing local artist. That he does really great black and gray, but his work was so illustrative that I had never seen anything like that. It was beyond the typical flash, that you see on the walls or whatever. And he told me, he was like, I recommend you do this. He goes, I think you would be a great addition to the tattoo industry. He goes, you're, very respectful with the craft, and you're dedicated to it. So you should go for it. So I went, and I think I went to possibly every shop in Miami at the time, and I got rejected for an apprenticeship. Even with my mentor, he rejected me at first, but I was so persistent.
So how is he telling you to do it, but then he's rejecting you?
Well, the thing is that he told me, he goes, Jay, I can advise you, I can help you, but I can't fully give you an apprenticeship.
Gotcha.
He goes, because I'm a terrible teacher.
Okay. Yeah.
So he goes, I just can't do it. And I didn't understand it at first, but then once I got my apprenticeship, I realized what it was to be a tattoo mentor, and I understood him. Because at first, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little bit butthurt. I was a little offended. I was like, hey, this is my friend. Why can't he teach me? And it's beyond that. You gotta. The fact that I was so persistent, okay, because imagine, I didn't go with a tattoo portfolio. I didn't go with anything. I went with a completely illustrative portfolio to look for an apprenticeship, as if I treated it like a job interview, which is not the right way to do it. I went to every single shop in Miami with this portfolio from the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. I barely had any tattoos, and I was going around just showing everyone, how cool I could draw a dragon or make a business card. It wasn't anything tattoo related. So, but I will say for my skill set, I was very talented in those fields. So when I went to these tattoo parlors, there was even times where either A, I would get rejected, or B, they would tell me, hey, we can't teach you because you're actually way too advanced when it comes to the artistry. Pretty much like I was saying, like persistence is key. Persistence is going for what you want is a very key element in getting an apprenticeship, and that does transcend from graffiti, where at first you start from nothing, and then you start off with a tag. That tag turns into a throw up. The throw up turns into a get up. The get up turns into a piece. That piece turns into a burner, and that's the way you grow as a graffiti artist. And the more you do it, the more clout you get, the more bragging rights you get. So with tattooing, it's like I was looking for it in the same way. The thing is, I needed to be educated in the respect factor, because here I was a young graffiti artist and illustrator, but going into this tattoo world as if I knew what I was doing. So my mentor, he rejected me at first, but I was so persistent with it that he ended up saying, you know what, do you really want this? Start tomorrow. And I got fired from my job like a few days prior, and it just came in clutch. you know. So I started my apprenticeship, and you know, that respect factor, it's like, that's how I treat my shop now. It's like pretty much my mentor taught me that you had to earn your right to clean that shop. You had to earn the right to clean that toilet, you know, and you couldn't complain about it. You know, like there's been people that have, you know, at my shop, I treat it like an open art studio. So I don't ever reject anybody from coming in and just hanging out or wanting to learn something, or just, you know, artists, you know, from all walks of life, they come by and they just sit there and they draw or they hang out. But that does not mean that I'm going to give you an apprenticeship or that I'm going to teach you anything that deals with the tattoo industry, because you haven't earned it, you know? So that's how I treat that side of the industry. Like, I consider myself that even though my work is, you know, I guess far from traditional, from real traditional, but I still treat my shop in the way that I was brought up, which is in a very traditionalist fashion, you know? So, yeah, like they have to, pretty much anybody who comes in, like once they hang out, once they feel the vibe, once they I guess they earn their stripes and the respect from myself and my peers. I think
they'll feel more fulfilled if they did it that way too.
Definitely. It's I remember my mentor told me, he goes, I'm only going to teach lifers. He goes, I don't want to teach you if you're going to do this as a part-time gig, or if you feel that this is something just to make quick money or something like that. Like, it doesn't work that way. You know, you want to teach lifers.
So you definitely believe in the traditional mentorship.
Yeah, traditional, hands down.
Awesome, man. So then once you were an employee at a shop, at what point did you say, okay, it's time for me to open up my own shop?
I started traveling a lot. So I was managing 3 shops, and it became a little overwhelming because I kind of felt that, you know, I started making connections. You know, again, this goes back to the whole graffiti thing. I knew people in every city that I would travel to due to graffiti. So I would go and I would paint, and at the same time I would guest spot in different places. So I was working a lot in New York, and I was, you know, going back and forth like heavy. So I wasn't giving the shop enough time. You know, I wasn't able to manage it like I used to. And I felt bad about that, you know. So I ended up just deciding that, hey, you know, I gave my mentor a good 7-year run, you know, of being an employee. And, you know, I said it's time for me to just do my own thing, where I could have my own people take care of whatever I need to take care of, and I can do my traveling, and I could focus on myself a little more. So my mentor actually helped me out, you know, to open my shop. And, you know, that's the way it should be. Yeah, you know, that's definitely the way it should be. Like, I have a great relationship with him.
Was it what you expected once you opened up the shop? I mean, maybe some trials and tribulations.
To be honest with you, you never know what to expect when you open up a business. Most people, they expect you to fail within the first year. Thankfully, you know, you know, to the Most High, you know what I mean? That, you know, we're going on a decade already, and that's a blessing. I never thought that we'd be there that long, and that we become a staple in the community. But that's another thing that my mentor taught me. It was about giving back to your community and being a part of the community and conquering your community to become that community tattoo shop. You know, and that's the way it should be, because that's the way it was done back in the day. You know what I mean? Every community had their token tattoo shop. You know, that's where everybody went. That's where everybody hung out. That's where everybody wanted to be in, you know? So, I mean, I've treated it like that, and I feel, you know, happy that way.
It feels at home there, you know?
Yeah, it does.
Like, speaking about the community, I know you guys are doing a Christmas toy drive.
Yeah, we do it every year.
Soon.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, obviously, I know you do it every year. So
I gotta crash this, sorry, bro.
Let's come in, man.
This is my topic, man.
If we're talking about entrepreneurship,
so interesting.
Who better to have? This is
I just want to go right next to it. That's a pretty good story, man.
Let's just stop real quick. Now, okay, we got junk, but now we're talking about entrepreneurship, and I mean, we got the ultimate entrepreneur right here.
Come on, man.
So I mean, this has turned into a pretty interesting podcast right now.
Well, first of all, thank you for joining us in this interview, man. I was listening. I'm like, man, I gotta join.
So you guys have both been through it too, because I know he had 3 tattoo shops before he did this. I mean, so I'm sure you went through your trials and tribulations.
It was brutal, man. How about yours? I mean,
I mean, we've gone through its ups and downs. You know, like our first year, I didn't take a loss at all. To be honest with you, I took L's like in the future. You know, making business mistakes and all of that you learn from. But like I said, I mean, it's been 10 years, so you go through your ups and downs. And I remember I was actually telling Zeke, I was like, I remember I bought a machine from you at a convention years ago, many years ago.
Oh yeah,
I think so.
He said he remembers it buying it
from the glass
off
case.
Of the
glass
cases.
I used to have
off the glass cases.
You know why the glass case? Because one time I went to a show, one of my first show, and someone stole like 3 machines, man. So I'm like, I was so naive. My first conventions, selling products, and I went put in there and wandered around, and someone came and took 3 machines. So I started traveling for the longest with that glass case until then. That glass case couldn't fit any more products. Then we started traveling with bodyguards and armed personnel. Just kidding.
People like me.
No, but what I'm saying is, for me, it was so hard because when did you open? What year?
2010.
See, I opened it in. I started like the process in 2007, and at that time you have to have a doctor or.
Yes. Yes, you still do.
Mine too. That was one of the.
Yeah, I remember I had to travel to Tampa to get a doctor.
Yeah.
What do you mean a doctor?
I was so lucky. I was tattooing a dentist. friend of mine, he became a friend. He was a customer, right? And I told him, man, that was when I used to work at another shop. And I'm like, I want to open a shop, but, it's so hard finding a doctor.
When I first opened my shop, almost 10 years ago, there was only a handful of shops in all of Hialeah. And now it's like I have 13 shops around me alone.
You throw a dart and it'll land at a shop right now.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's talk about this because before, I remember bitching about that, but now I kind of like wish it stayed that way because you don't need anything here in Miami to open a tattoo shop. All you need is $250.
Which is scary sometimes.
Like, it's super scary. Yeah. You don't even have to have skills. You don't have to show nothing. You just go to the city, get your permit, pay, and you become a licensed tattoo artist. That's insane to me.
So you're allowed to stick needles in people's arms without knowing anything.
That is insane. I mean, at some point you have to go through a course. How is it right now? Because, I sold my shops in 2013.
It's just a bloodborne pathogen. That's it.
Now you do it online. That's it,
You
right?
do it online for I think it's 3 or 4 hours. Not even. You just sit there on the computer.
So you don't have to go to the meetings anymore?
They don't. They rarely do that. Remember, they used to have them at the hotels.
Yes.
And you'd go and go sit there for a few hours, take a course. Yeah. But now you just need to complete that one time, and then you go to the health department. Pay, I believe, is $60. That's it. You got your license.
That's insane. That's insane.
They figured out why cap it when we can get money from everyone that wants to open a shop.
So let's just capitalize on this. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean things have changed a lot. I mean, I remember even back when I was a apprentice and all that, whenever a new shop was gonna open up in your area, like the tattoo artist would come and speak to the existing
owners.
Yeah, existing shop owners.
Or just
to kind of get the okay, like, hey man, I want to open up a shop in this neighborhood. Is it cool? Because I mean, it was more of a tight knit community back then as well. Like now, it's like it's a little different. Yeah.
I mean, we spoke about it before. That's one of the things. Like, I don't understand why a lot of the tattoo artists and people here don't, like each other more. I mean, we're a family.
Well, it's business. Family. Business gets involved.
Why is it?
Rivalry?
I mean, but you shouldn't even be competition. I mean, you should be confident in your work, in what you do, right? And friendly competition is good, but when I mean that, I don't like this person because of this, I mean,
it's egotistical.
Crazy. I think that's like, we talked about why conventions in Miami are not successful, and Javi was here, and he said that's one of the reasons is because.
Can I talk about that?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, I've been sick, guys.
Yeah,
sorry about my voice going in now. Conventions in Miami, why they suck? I think the people that put them together, they suck.
So it has nothing to do with the artists.
I don't think it has to do anything with the artists, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, and if anyone is throwing a show, but let's call it what it is, man. We put events together.
I got a great idea.
What is it?
I got a great idea.
What is it?
So, the people that put it together, the shows, it sucks because the people.
You interrupt me, right?
Because the people.
I was in the middle of the development of the idea.
You gave me a great idea.
Tell me.
The light bulb.
Because
the hamster's running.
It just hit me now. So, these people are not throwing good events, right?
Yeah.
There's this one company that I know that everything they do it great. Yeah. Right? So why don't they put on the dopest tattoo convention that Miami has ever seen?
Who's that company?
FK
I agree.
Irons.
Look at this guy, bro.
FK Irons.
We can.
I mean, why not?
We can rave our own feathers, bro.
No, what do you mean? No. When you're the best, you're the best. I'm sorry to say it, but we are.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's not that we are the best. It's that we like to do things right because we care about the industry, period. You know, and we have a name. And everything that we release and everything we put together and everything we put our name, our brand, you know, we put our face, our, you know, heart and soul into it.
100%.
So I'm going to tell you, you know, there used to be great shows in Miami. I remember there was a show called Tattoo La Palooza. The first one was an incredible show. What happened is that show probably was an expensive show, and really good shows usually are expensive, especially in this, you know, in this age where you do have to invest in social media if you want to get the word out. You know, newspaper doesn't work anymore, magazines don't work anymore, TV, radio, people maybe, billboards definitely. We tested that they don't work anymore. You know, for that show we spent so much money, and so, you know, right now you got to embark yourself into the new era of marketing, which is social media, and you have to spend money, right? And a lot of people, they say, okay, if I have to spend $30,000, you know, marketing my show, that's $30,000 that I'm putting in my pocket. You know, so I think people are being selfish. They're doing shows because they're thinking that these shows are gonna turn over a lot of revenues, and they forget about the artists. They are the ones that hope to go to the show and get the name out, and you know, and make some money, you know, bring some money home. And all of a sudden, it's a show put only for one guy's benefit, you know, and I think that has been the problem in Miami's show. And I gotta tell you, it's probably the problem in every single show that's not doing really good right now, because with social media, it's really easy to get the word out. Right. You know, if you have a good product, you know, if you have a good venue, right? If you have the right people to cater to the needs of the show, and if you have, you know, a decent budget, because if you don't have a budget, just don't do something large and bad. Do
and
something
half-ass.
small and good.
Yeah, do something according to your
like
budget.
Winwood, they decided to do this huge convention and it was horrible.
Man, you know, we got there, we didn't have a booth, and we were
lighting.
sponsoring the show.
Yeah, and there was no lighting. It was horrible.
They ran out of food.
Yeah.
Ran out of food. So.
All right, so somewhat that's what our little input on the shows. Let's go back to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's get
piggybacking
back
off
on
of that,
subject.
though, also, I think a big part of the reason why you guys have so much of it goes back to what I was saying about the way that I was taught. I think a big part of the support system that you guys have is because you guys are a community-based. Imagine you started from the bottom, you know. What I'm saying? Literally from going
bottom.
to the
I didn't even
shows
speak English, bro.
And you know,
started
selling,
from the bottom. Now we're here.
selling machines out of the shop, you know, and you know, like doing all of that. So I remember all of that, and it's like the fact that you guys have remained a community based company and just grew from that is why so many people support you guys. You didn't just come out of nowhere, or didn't come out of nowhere with one intention, which was 100% just profit margin. You know what I'm saying? It was about the industry. That's why I respect a lot
I
of...
could be wrong, but I don't even think that was the intention at first, right? Because you made a machine for yourself is what I understood.
Yeah, you saw that machine. We still have it here.
And then...
you know, to be honest with you, I never start anything for money. Never in my life I said, I'm going to do this because I'm going to make money. Like, first I got to love what I do. And I don't care about... And, you know, I really don't care about how I'm going to pay the bills, because usually when you put your passion... You know, the passion takes care of yourself. You know, if you do
just
things
happens.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? And remember, I told you that I used to run a marketing agency. You know, marketing, web design, graphic design. That's my background. That's what I went to school for. So, and I was doing really good. And I was running out of my house. You know, making $450,000 a year. You know, and if I go back to that, you know, I was zero minus many times. But I've learned, you know, with every single experience that really took me to the ground, what not to do again, you know.
Yep.
And, you know, and I've learned that really when you put passion into something, it really, you know, flourishes, you know, and you can see the results at some point. So I have some savings, you know, I'm not going to lie. I have some savings. I probably had $8,000 in my account, you know, and my bills weren't that much. But I'm like, I am going to dedicate myself to building machines. I built my first machine when I was 15 years old. I mean, it wasn't even a machine. It was a stick with a needle and a little spring. Yeah. So I figured that out. You know, I'm from Argentina, so tattoo didn't become mainstream until, you know, probably like late 80s over there. There was no tattoo shop. In my city there was no tattoo shop. In Buenos Aires there were a few, but there was no tattoo shop. There was nobody to apprentice under. There was not a mean to actually order supplies. I remember it was a magazine. I don't know if it was Tattoo Magazine or Flash. I don't remember what it was called.
Wow,
but,
Flash.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. You just threw it back right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was the only way to order supplies. In the back of the magazine, Spalding Rogers used to have an ad, and I actually tried to order a machine, and it was impossible. And I just couldn't get it. You know, I had someone that spoke English to talk, and it was just impossible. Then I tried to mail my order in. It was just a mess. You know, the way that you have to pay. You know, I was very young. It was just too much. But right now, it is so easy, right? Going back to what I'm telling you, yeah, I started building tattoo machines because I decided to focus on tattooing as my main, lifestyle. You know, and
Your livelihood.
Yeah. So I built a machine for myself because my problem was always, right here. Holding heavy stuff for a while, even the mouse, from the computer, like after a while would get me pain over there. So I started building a machine for me. I'm like, I gotta build a machine that I can hold for long hours. And, the first machine was a little bit lighter than average. And then, when we started doing the aluminum line, that's really where I think things took off because I wasn't the only one with a problem. And I think that the main thing that, helped us get noticed is that we didn't cater to the elite. We catered to guys like you and me and him and I, So we catered to regular people. Why? Because nobody knew me in the industry. I didn't have a name, I've been tattooing since I was 15 years old, but nobody knew me here, So I just catered to, to guys like me, regular guys that want good equipment, they want good work, they wanted reliable
everyday tattooers
device.
doing bangers and, you know.
So that was it, And I think that's what really caught us, by surprise with the growth of the company because I remember that all companies were kind of like a closed circle, all the big names and great builders that I have a lot of respect towards, they were catering to, the pro and you pro. But what's a pro? Mm-hmm. What is a pro? I know a lot of people that have licensed shops and that they do horrible work, bad work that I wouldn't get tattooed by them at least. So you call that a pro? Guys with 20-something years in the business that still can do a straight line, or lines without blowout. So, I cater to guys that want to do good work, and those that want to excel, and those that not necessarily, have to have a whole career behind them to back them up. Guys that, they're working at a established shop, and, guys that have some artistic, background. That's what I decided to do.
And man, there's a lot of guys that don't want that, I guess, tattoo fame that is what's out now. There's a lot of great tattooers out there that nobody even knows about that they choose to be in that.
I agree.
I
agree.
That's what really, at least for me, that's the way I was brought up. You know what I mean? Like, my mentor always taught me like to cater to the community, to cater to your people, and your bills are going to get paid as long as he said, as long as you have
and the same
passion
thing,
behind it.
That's what I was going to say.
That's it.
Like,
that's what's important. I was always taught
to
to
our passion all over anything that we do here.
I was always taught to
Videos, whatever it is, there's passion behind everything.
To never measure your level of success through your finances. Because finances are going to come regardless, no matter what. As long as you put passion behind it, finances are going to come. But it's like, as long as you're happy doing what you do, you're content doing what you do, your clients are happy.
Successful.
That's it. And that's the basis that I've always ran my shop with. And it's like, again, I never expected to be here 10 years later,
Right.
I like I said, I consider myself to be a traditionalist when it comes down to the ethics of tattooing. And it's actually kind of funny because I hear a lot of older guys complain a lot about what the tattoo industry has become or how, newer guys come in, and they, change the industry. And now there's, I always hear both sides of the story, the real artistic guys, the real traditional guys, the guys that say, oh, this guy just came into the industry out of nowhere and stuff like that.
So what?
But exactly.
So what?
Exactly. But at the same time, it's like the same people that are complaining are not the ones that are teaching the future of this industry. Yeah. So it's like, if you're not doing anything about it, why the fuck are you complaining?
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Let me.
So it's like, at least what I decided to do was like, you know what? I'm never gonna be that dude that just sits there and complains. It's not in my nature. So it's like, if I wanted a certain type of employee in my shop, or if I wanted to, let's say, teach the future generation of tattooers through a very traditional way, the same way that I was taught, and I want to keep that part of the culture alive, I can't complain about it. I have to do it myself. you know?
Look,
Of course.
I completely agree with what he's saying, and I remember that being one of the problems when I was up and coming, right? At least in the machine building, arena, that people were pissed that, fuck, there's a new guy here making machines. So what, bro?
You came out of nowhere.
You know how many people are in this world? I mean, are you gonna fulfill all of them? Can you handle that bandwidth? And so what, man? Generations are gonna exist. The day you die, they're gonna continue to change.
Oh, yeah.
And the industry is going to evolve no matter what. I mean,
The industry has evolved majorly.
it has evolved majorly, and specifically in the last 20, 15 years, it evolved, the fastest. But yeah, that's gonna happen. I remember, people not wanting to even talk to other tattoo artists. Oh, I don't want to show you my secrets and stuff like that. What secret, bro?
Do you remember in conventions, you'd go around to conventions and everybody in the booths, they would have unmarked bottles of ink, so you never knew what brand of ink they were using. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, so
like nobody would know anything. I remember being an apprentice, being young, I would go around and just look at what they're doing. And if I stood around for too long, they'd be like, hey, what are you doing? It's like, they were so secretive. It was crazy.
We live in an area where education is everywhere. Look at YouTube. I never heard the word tutorial until maybe 10 years, 15 years ago.
It's easy now.
I mean, do you remember that word like 30 years ago? The word tutorial? I just never heard that word before.
I didn't know what www meant.
See what I'm saying? So,
I mean,
here's the thing. You want to learn right now. You want to go to school. You don't have money. Okay, there's something called, research. And there's something called YouTube. And there's something called art classes. You can learn. You can learn. And I guess, more shops, what they have done right now is that they had open opportunities to newer apprentice to apprentice under. I mean, that's kind of like a positive that I see from this, to learn the right way. But a lot of the new shops, they haven't even gone through apprenticeships. A lot of the new artists. And you know what? It is a reality, and we got to accept it. A lot of the great, incredible artists that make your jaw drop, they have never
had a proper apprenticeship. I agree.
But guess what? They probably have more artistic background training than you that you had an apprentice, or you that had an apprentice, or you that had an apprentice. So what do you root for? And in the end, it's all about the customer.
It's about the artwork at the end.
And going down to what he's saying, that's what I'm saying, that a lot of people don't like to accept that fact, and they don't accept growth in the industry, because the fact of the matter is, it's like I like to compare it to almost like rock and roll music. If you think back, let's say in the Elvis Presley days, the parents of that generation were, oh, that's not real music, or that's not there. But then eventually throughout the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, what have we seen? We've seen so much. We've seen punk, we've seen emo, we've seen hardcore, we've seen, everything evolves into branches, but still fall under rock music, right? Yeah. But then you have the tattoo industry. That's how I feel that it's become. And
emo is not rock music. That's garbage.
I agree with you 100%. But you know what I'm saying? It's my point is that it's branched out to so many different things. Yeah. And the same thing with the tattoo industry. You have your traditionalists, you have your realism guys, you have your black and gray, you have your abstract guys, you have the guys that make things look like paintings, and everybody has an opinion on it. But I think that, we're artists. Everybody's egotistical. Everybody's a little crazy. Everybody has an opinion on it. But nobody chooses to just stay in their lane and realize, hey, if you stay in your lane, you're good. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, don't complain about that artist that didn't have to apprentice, and the guy's an amazing artist.
For sure.
And,
leave him alone.
I think close your mouth if you're tattooing with disposable needle, disposable grips, where you're using, pen style machine and stuff like that, because you're calling yourself an old school. You don't solder your needles anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
You drive that new BMW that you have there.
You're so old school, but you're a hypocrite at the same time.
Old school. You have the latest iPhone. You have an Instagram account, and when you're not tattooing, you're like this in your phone, texting and hitting on girls. You have a Tinder account, so come on, man.
Yep. You're not doing
that. Your wife doesn't know that exists. And you're calling yourself an old school. I think that there is a lot of misconception of what being old school means, I
don't think anybody can call themselves old school at this point. You know what I mean?
You don't live on that. You cater your art, it's, traditional. It's kind of like, has the old school. But I think tattooing, no matter how you want to look at it right now, it's not old school anymore. And even if you tattoo with coil machine, don't tell me that you're old school because you tattoo with coil machines, because
but they're tattooing.
You
with
went
an
and bought that
machine.
ink. You don't have to make it yourself.
Yeah, no, and they're tattooing with an aluminum coil machine.
And you have that brother ultra thin stencil printer that you run your stencils.
Yeah, man. You're only traditional to a certain point. Yes, I mean we can
just catering to style. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Now I gotta tell you, there are guys that are still doing it. They are, and I have high respect for those guys. But there are a lot of guys that haven't even been long in the business to call themselves, I'm a fucking old school guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I've been tattooing longer than you, and you're just calling yourself old school and condemning people for what they do, and you've been tattooing for a couple of years, and all of a sudden because you consume all that YouTube, Instagram, fad, you think you know it all now, and you're trying to, and I see it in forums, man, people like talking, and we get to talk to a lot of people. Yeah. And sometimes when someone knows their shit by simply having a 1 minute conversation. All right, and a lot of those guys, are condemning others. So I've never condemned anyone. You want to be old school, that's fine.
But I mean,
you want to be that.
If you don't evolve with the times, so what are you going to do? You're just going to consider yourself old school for the rest of your life, and you're just going to keep doing bad tattoos, or not bad tattoos, but just tattoos that were used 20 years ago? Yeah. No, we got to, if you don't evolve, it's like everything. If you don't evolve, you're going to stay behind, bro.
Yeah, so I think that even myself, like,
and if you're watching this video and you say that you're old school, well, you're probably watching it on a phone or some electronic ultra tech device.
For sure.
You're not old school anymore.
For sure.
Yeah.
This is the proof.
They're probably watching this while they're driving in their old school vehicle.
In their Uber.
Oh man, that was awesome, man.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that, I think if everybody just stays in their lane, considering whatever style, whatever it is that you want to do, there's, I've always said there's enough skin in this world to go around for everyone.
Yes,
to cater to whatever it is that you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
which is great.
Like people that condemn those people that don't apprentice, man, why? Because they have this natural ability to be able to do it. God bless them. Let them do it.
Let me stop you right there, though. I'm a firm believer that apprenticeship is the way to go.
Yeah.
Still, and I always will. But not everyone is going to have access. Like, for example, myself, when I learned, first of all, tattooing was illegal. So where am I going to apprentice under, right? I never had an apprenticeship, But again, it took me probably 10 years to get decent, where if I would have had an apprenticeship, it would have taken me probably a year or two, right? So apprenticeships are the way to go if you really want to be good and quick, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes, especially right now when tattooing has become so technical, Tattooing and oil painting, there's no difference in that. I mean, you have the same amount of challenges than you're rendering, probably even more. I mean, you can go back. That's the problem with a tattoo. In painting, you can smear off and go over the mess, right? But that's how I see it, man.
Well, to me, apprenticeships don't have much to do with the artistic factor. Going back to what you said, that's why there's so many amazing artists that come and make your jaw drop, and but it's the actual teaching the art of tattooing itself, because, how are you going to tell somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, hey, here's a 7-round liner, and they're going to, what the hell is this used for? You know what I'm saying? Or, like, I was always told that you never learn to tattoo until you've reached a decade of tattooing.
That's if you're completely not an artist.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
No. What I mean is like technicalities behind it. You know what I mean? Like after I did I thought about that too. Once I reached my 10th year of tattooing, I looked back and I was like, okay, it didn't take me 10 years completely, but right now I know what something's gonna heal like. I know what a blowout is. I know the proper ways of, angling machines, or like even
and in 10 years from now, you're gonna be better than now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
For what I'm saying?
For sure.
So,
constant progression, Yeah. But that's what speeds up the process when it comes down to apprenticeships. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's, at least for me, that's how it was for me. It wasn't about, because not to say much, but artistically, I was a lot better than my mentor. But he taught me, hey, look, this is how you properly set up a machine. This is how not to chew up skin. This is how not to hurt someone. This is how not to transfer any or risk transferring any type of diseases or any bloodborne pathogens onto your equipment and onto the rest of the shop and things like that. And I think those are the vital parts of an apprenticeship. It's not necessarily about sitting there and doing a watercolor painting or, no, none of that. It's like, as an artist, like, you should be an artist. And, at least the way I like to teach is like, you got to do you. Yeah. Be your own artist. Because there's no point in having the same exact thing. That's not fun in the industry. I enjoy looking at every single style of tattooing and where it's going, where it's been, like, there was a time where like you'd look through a tattoo magazine. I had a whole collection of those things, and it all looked the same. According to the era, whether it be 80s or 90s tattooing, everything looked the same. The color palette looked the same. The style of line work looked the same. It was like maybe some subject matter might change a little, but every tattoo looked pretty much the same. And now you scroll through Instagram, which is the biggest tattoo magazine there is, and every single thing is different. And I enjoy that, to see what are they doing on this part of the world, what are they doing in Miami, what are they doing everywhere else,
Another thing is like before tattooing wasn't safe, and I'm sorry, I've seen many shops. Again, I'm 44 now. I've been around thousands of shops in my life, and tattooing back then wasn't safe, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Gloves, people started using glove when, not too long ago.
My first tattoo was at a motorcycle shop.
My first tattoo was done with delicatessen gloves from the bakery. Those? For real.
They were making a sandwich.
Like the hair ones?
They were making a sandwich. You got to do that at lunch late.
You know what I'm saying? And people weren't bagging their colors. People weren't bagging their machine. I'm talking about over 25 years ago. Okay?
Yeah.
People weren't sanitizing with anti-bacteria, anti-everything. Alcohol. That's all they used. Alcohol and Clorox and stuff like that. So tattooing right now became way safer because we have way more products. And this is the result of the evolution of tattooing and people wanting to be in the industry regardless, right? Another thing that I don't think it applies for these days, maybe it applied for back then, if you're going to hire an apprentice, really, you're going to make the guys brush the toilet 24/7. Are you going to teach him art? Are you teaching him to become a janitor? See what I'm saying? I get it before, it was just the fundamental of respecting something and, you really have to earn it. So because there was a demand and there were many shops, they were able to do that. And, I respect that it was done back then. But I've heard from some people that want to kind of like apply that culture right now, and I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Especially when the guy is an incredible artist. Really, you want to spend time teaching him how to clean a bathroom.
I think it's
hire a manager.
I just think it's more about dedication, though.
No, it's
if they're willing to do that, then they're willing to.
Because at least through my apprenticeship, I had to do all of those things, but like, there was a very big difference, and I was taught that.
I started doing those things when I opened my own shop. I had to clean my own bathroom every day, make sure that it was clean.
You see, look, I'm glad that you said that, though, because at least with my mentor, what he taught me, he goes, I will never make you do anything in a derogatory fashion. What it is, everything that I'm teaching you now is not to call you, per se, the shop bitch, which is what a lot of people do, and they do it purposely. I've heard of things that people have done ridiculously,
and I'm talking about that. I'm talking about abusive.
Abusive.
That's a whole different ballgame.
We got free. We got a slave here.
No, that's ridiculous.
It happened a lot, man.
Yeah, it happened a lot. Like my mentor, I remember he told me, he goes, the reason why I'm making you, let's say, wipe down and clean the bathroom every day, sweep the shop every day, is because one day you're gonna own your own shop and you're gonna get into the habit of doing that. I'm teaching you how to run your own shop. So it's like, it's creating positive habits, through an apprenticeship. And I feel like that's what I'm saying. Those are the positives of an actual, what I like to consider a real apprenticeship. Because I've even heard of shop owners. I've heard of shop owners on one particular instance. One of my buddies, when he was apprenticing, the shop owner bought a puppy, left it full of food. He was going out of town for like 2 days for the weekend. I don't know. It was like from Saturday night. They closed Sunday and Monday, or opened back up on Monday, something like that. But point is, they left the puppy in the bathroom full of food, and he just shat and pissed all over the bathroom.
That's very healthy.
Yeah, on purpose.
That's very pro.
Just so that on Monday morning, the apprentice can come and clean it.
He shouldn't even own a shop.
But you see, those are the type of things. On another separate occasion, I had another person that once told me a horror story about and we've all heard them. A horror story about his apprenticeship where they made him go up on the roof of the building and sweep the roof.
No, that's like fraternity stuff, man.
But exactly, you know what I mean? Fortunately for me, I've never had to do that shit. You know what I mean?
That's a different level, guys. So they're giving me the signs back there, guys. So if Feature, you can just give us one quick last tip, maybe, or something you could give the guys on entrepreneurship. And I would love to maybe one day we can continue this whole conversation about the evolution of tattooing.
Let's do it, man.
Because I think you've been there, and I think that would be great maybe for
great.
our next one. But I would love to do that with you if we could do that one day. The evolution.
We can do it right now after this
The
one.
evolution of tattooing.
And we record the other one.
So,
I'm here.
last pointer. Any
Passion and
pointers for the
love,
entrepreneurs?
passion and love over everything. You know what I mean? If you don't put your heart into anything, nothing is gonna last. You know, just do it for the love of the industry and love what you do. That's all it is. That's all I can really advise anybody that wants to really get into this industry, or anybody who's existing in this industry. The longevity factor is longevity. It'll last as long as you love it. If I didn't love what I did, I would have been closed a long time ago. Simple as that.
And to that, boss man.
I think that when you see fire, run towards fire. When you hear bullets, run towards bullet, because that's what's gonna make you great at whatever you are pursuing right now. And if you think that there is an easy path to any type of career, you're wrong. You're gonna overcome challenges. You're gonna do bad at some point. You're gonna be disappointed, and probably you're gonna want to feel that you want to quit as well. Really, I mean, that is the pressure of becoming an entrepreneur. You really have to experience all that, and you really have to be ready not to be scared and just go towards things. And even when things become almost impossible, you got to continue, because there is not an easy path to success, I think.
Nope.
Guys, you heard it here from two entrepreneurs, successful ones, Junk Lainez, Gaston Siciliano. So, guys, we'll see you on the next Tattoo Talk. We're probably going to be talking about the evolution of tattooing. Guys, see you next time. Peace.